I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers! And this is This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting with in-studio Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete over in the Greg Powers Memorial Power Zone. Brought to you by our friends at Next Level Athlete and presented by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express.
You can tell it's been a while since you said that.
I know.
You stumbled a little bit on that one.
I'm not used to it. I'm used to having you on the phone, buddy, but welcome in. Welcome back to the Power Zone.
Hey, it's great to be here. The Power Zone is blessed with my presence today.
It really is.
It very much is.
Pickle and I were talking about this, and we will get to This Week in Recruiting in just a moment. But we do need to discuss a great tragedy with you. And the great tragedy is that we're not doing Bob's dinner this year.
Oh.
Pickle and I were talking about that the other day, and it's like we both got real sad simultaneously.
Yeah. It was one of those, like, you get so caught up in everything you don't think about it until it's like, oh my God, it should have been Tuesday.
It's supposed to be like 6 days from now, today.
So is it not something that we can, revisit? Possibly.
Yeah. So I'll just pull back the curtain entirely. My thought is that whenever we get to a point where I think we're a lot more comfortable with where things stand as far as going to restaurants are concerned, I plan on running it back and just pretending that it's December whatever.
Right.
We're going to do it still, but it's just like it's postponed, not canceled. Let's put it that way.
Also, a good question to ask is, does Bob's cater?
They do. Not that I've looked into it.
So This Week in Recruiting, let's get to all of the news and notes from the recruiting world across the state of Texas. We'll start with our prospects on the rise.
Plural this week.
Our prospects on the rise. We're going to focus on one guy, but this is a bigger topic about the Hot 100, the Dave Campbell's Tech Football Hot 100 at texasfootball.com/recruiting. You have updated the Hot 100, including a brand new 5-star, and it goes to Bryce Foster of Richmond, of Katy Taylor, rather, the big offensive guard, the Mountain. And 6 new 4-stars, including a variety of linemen. Most notably on the defensive side, Hutto defensive end Landyn Watson grabs that 4th star. And probably a guy, and I think because Hutto has not necessarily, because part of it is they don't have Chase Griffin, they haven't maybe been as dominant as they have been in past years, but that's through no fault of Landyn Watson, because he is a superstar that we probably haven't talked enough about this year.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and that's why we're going to be rolling his highlights as we kind of talk about the new updated Top 100. We just haven't given enough credit, one, to when he made his commitment to TCU. He's probably, or he is, the top-rated commitment in this TCU class right now. Chris Murray at Wichita Falls Hershey is also very good, so they got a pair of in-state defensive ends to lead that defense heading into the future for Gary Patterson. But I love Landyn Watson because he is a guy who is a sure tackler. He's one of these guys who arrives at the ball with very bad intentions. When he hits you, you go down right where you're standing. And for his size and power, he's very quick to the football. He closes especially coming downhill, he closes the distance very quickly and is able to secure tackles on what I always call it the zero angle. The zero angle was the spot where the middle area where the ball carrier and the defender start at. Landyn Watson arrives at that zero angle more often than not to save the defensive unit critical yardage, and that's why Landyn Watson is so good. He's a guy who could probably stand up and rush off the edge, could put his hand on the ground and be a true defensive end, but he runs really well for a bigger frame defensive player, and he's pretty good. But Remington Strickland, that dude is a hoss too. I mean, there's some offense. We've given a lot of credit to the quarterback in this class. The offensive line group this year is nasty.
I mean, we're adding Bryce Foster as a 5-star from Fort Bend, from Katy Taylor. I keep saying Fort Bend. But then Remington Strickland from Fort Bend Christian gets a 4-star, as does Tate Williams from Wall, the big Baylor commit, gets a 4-star as well. It's a really deep offensive line class that has some real talent at the very top, too. It's not just like you got a bunch of guys, like maybe one 5-star, one 4-star, and a bunch of 3-stars. You got legit top-tier talent that's got great depth in this class in 2021.
Well, one thing to check out, we have an article up about Bryce Foster becoming the first ever interior offensive lineman since 2012 to earn 5-star status. I think off the top of my head, if I really think hard about this, the last guy to be a 5-star that was an interior O-line prospect from Texas was Stephen Good, maybe from Paris. I mean, and that's if you look at anybody's rankings. I think he was the last one. He of course signed with Oklahoma. It was in that a big year for Oklahoma in the state of Texas. I can't remember exactly what year it was. I'm going to go back to like 2005, 2004. But 3 out of the top 5 stars this year in the DCTF Hot 100 are offensive linemen, and Tommy Brockermeyer, Donovan Jackson, and now Bryce Foster, which really kind of signifies how good it is, not only throughout the entire scope of the top 100, but certainly at the top when you're talking about the elite prospects in state.
Well, not to derail the entire conversation, but one thing that I think is worth talking about, because I'm a recruiting dummy and you educate me every week.
Fact.
It strikes me that the reason that we don't have a ton of 5-star interior offensive linemen is that it's kind of hard to stand out as an interior offensive lineman. Like a tackle, I think it's kind of easier because there's a little bit more space and the dominance really shows out. It seems like to me, if you're a great interior offensive lineman, that just means you're probably not getting noticed. You know what I mean? Like you're basically just not missing blocks. But I think we saw the Bryce Foster highlights last week. He's such a monster in there that it seems like he kind of breaks that mold of that kind of, I don't want to say anonymous, but like more so just steady interior offensive lineman.
And I think another point to what you're saying, or to add on to what you're saying, is you have 24/7 Sports, One Service, who does their high school prospect rankings solely for the purpose of NFL draft potential, which is a little bit different than what we do here at DCTF. We're looking at the guys who are going to be the top college standouts, and that's kind of a huge difference. Of course, you're going to weigh in to potential NFL draft upside when you're looking at a long-term projection of some of these guys, because if they're NFL draft guys, then that certainly puts a lot of spotlight and shine on your college program, and that makes you a great recruit, right? So if Texas is able to sign and then a number 1 pick, then everybody notices it, and that helps them on the recruiting trail. But you see a lack of interior offensive linemen usually drafted in the first round. That's something that you don't see very often. So offensive tackles have a bit more versatility, and I think that's why you see more of them rated highly in any rankings, whether it's 24/7 Sports, Rivals, or even sometimes at DCTF. But you're talking about a guy here in Bryce Foster who's a generational type of offensive lineman, a guy who has a chance to be in the Olympics because he's the junior national record holder in the discus and the shot put. He's probably the strongest player I've seen on tape in over 20 years of evaluating high school prospects. So, I mean, you're talking about something that's really special here with Bryce Foster. It's certainly something that stands out for him, and he's earned it. He's a 4-year varsity starter, and he's been an impact player since the time he stepped on the field for the Mustangs.
No, you just gave me a chore that I'm going to go look up how many interior offensive linemen have been taken in the first round of the NFL draft lately. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week, we're going to the DFW Metroplex to talk about Mansfield Lake Ridge defensive tackle Braylen Jackson. And hey, SMU's doing more work in the DFW Metroplex. The 91st overall prospect in the Hot 100 has pulled the trigger to the Ponies, and this is a guy who kind of that tweener frame of 6'3", 265, but you like him as an interior guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard now with some of these guys that are so big and they run so well. Braylen Jackson is a guy, even if you rated him as a strong side defensive end, in a 3-4 scheme, he's really playing more of a defensive tackle position anyway, because he's going to be more of a run stopper. So I think that's why you would say he's rated as a defensive tackle. But he's one of those kids who you can slide up and down the defensive front and to provide mismatches, and is quick enough off the ball that he can apply some pressure, but is a steady tackler and can sniff out the run consistently and make plays against the run game. It's a special class for SMU. I mean, there's no other way to really say it. They have a really, really good crop of high school players coming in, and they're one of the premier programs in the country, or the premier destinations for transfer prospects as well. So SMU is really starting to get it going on the national scale, I think, and are going to be a factor for a long time. This is a team in the Dallas area that has a lot to offer, and they've really been behind the success after football at a degree that SMU offers and the success you can have in the Dallas area with finding a job after college. And I think that that's something that transcends football, and that's helped them a lot on the recruiting trail.
Let's just kind of put a fine point on that, and this is according to our friends at 24/7. And our rankings will differ from their rankings, so grain of salt and everything. But Braylen Jackson, who ranks 91st in our Hot 100, and we're awfully fond of around here, he ranks as their 8th highest ranked prospect in the SMU class.
Wow.
I mean, that's heady stuff. When you're talking about not a few years ago, just a few years ago, it would have been great if SMU got one Hot 100 kid or 2 Hot 100 kids, right?
Right.
That would be a really good year. Now you're talking about guys like Preston Stone and Dylan Goffney and Jalen Samuels and Monte Dawson, who are all legit bona fide studs that SMU's been able to pull in.
Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 6 SMU commits in the top 100. Preston
Wow.
Stone, quarterback, Dallas Parish Episcopal. Wide receiver, Roderick Daniels, Duncanville.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive end, Jalen Samuels, Pasadena Rayburn, who was a great find by SMU and is now picking up P5 offers. Now Braylen Jackson, Dylan Goffney from Cypress Bridgeland, and Isaiah Nwakobia from Dallas Skyline, a
Right.
hard-hitting safety. And, outside of that, you got Monte Dawson, Stone, Ebby, Brandon Epton, and Jaden Jones, who are all really good players,
Right.
too. So, I mean, it's just a really good class top to bottom.
Great class for SMU. We're talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Let's get to our Underclassmen of the Week. Our Underclassmen of the Week, the 6A and 5A playoffs are around, and we're going to be talking a lot about this team, Klein. Klein Cain's into the playoffs, and a lot of attention gets paid to the running back here, but let's talk about the quarterback, and that's Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden is up to now 11 offers. Grabbed an offer this week from Arkansas. That is his first SEC offer that I can tell, but he has a couple of other Power 5 offers, plus in-state offers like Houston, North Texas, UTSA, etc. This is a guy in the class of 2022 that is probably going to catch a little bit of fire as we go on in his recruiting process.
And Golden is one of these guys at the wide receiver position who's 6'1", 190, can get off the football really quickly, can make catches down the field, can stretch defenses, but he can also work well underneath. So he's very talented. And when you look at his tape from this season, you see a guy who's probably really going to catch attention from everybody. I looked at his list, when we put together the notebook today, and he has 3 in-state offers from Houston, North Texas, and UTSA. That's not going to stop there. I think he's one of these type of guys who all of the top programs are going to target and come after, and if they don't, then he's going to escape the state and go make huge plays at a P5 school, somewhere like Oklahoma State, and be just a freak Big 12 All-American type of player. He's very consistent. And Jadon Blue gets a lot of the attention there at Klein Cain because he's one of the top-rated running backs in the entire country. But don't sleep on Matthew Golden. I think he's a guy who's really going to rise up the charts as more and more people get a chance to look at him. And 11 offers is nothing to scoff at. I mean, he's already got offers from the Big 10, the Pac-12, the SEC, and the Big 12. So, I mean, 4 P5 conferences are already in pursuit.
Most certainly. Keep an eye on Matthew Golden, the wide receiver at Klein Cain. Let's round it all out with our recruit of the week. Our recruit of the week is Garland Lakeview Centennial 2021 running back Camar Wheaton. Camar Wheaton is going to announce, not on Christmas Eve, but on Christmas Eve.
Thank you, Camar.
Right.
We appreciate the day. We appreciate you not making your decision on Christmas Eve or Christmas.
December 23rd. That is careening towards us like a freight train. I believe it's 2 weeks from today.
Wow.
And we are, but he is going to pull the trigger, and he's down to 2. The number 4 prospect in the state of Texas, according to Dave Campbell's Texas Football. And the number 1 running back is heading to either Alabama or Oklahoma. This is a guy who didn't have a ton of senior tape because Lakeview Centennial's schedule was cut pretty short because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But Oklahoma, Alabama, poor kids just,
I mean, it's tough. Rough
it's tough he's going to have
there.
to settle.
I guess Oklahoma's the school that I'm keeping a close eye on. You can never count Alabama out when it comes to recruiting, especially running backs. They have a strong history there. Oklahoma's a little bit closer to home, not too far away from Garland for him to play his college ball. Alabama a little bit further away. I think Oklahoma has a pretty good shot for him to play early there. Of course, they signed Seth McGowan in last year's class, but they have done a remarkable job recruiting the state of Texas this year. There are two huge commitments in that top 5 pending with Camar, Wheaton, and Bryce Foster. Neither have made their decision yet or announced their final decision. Bryce is announcing next Friday, and then you have Camar announcing the following Wednesday after that. And I think that you could categorize them possibly as OU leans. And if they were to get those two commitments, then they will have secured verbals, or now, into next week's signings from 5 of the top 10 rated prospects in the DCTF Hot 100, which kind of signifies a huge change in the way that they've been recruiting the state of Texas. It's usually much more balanced. You don't really see one school signing that many prospects out of the top 10. So OU's done a remarkable job recruiting the state of Texas, even if they don't get these two. 3 out of the top 10 is a great job in and of itself. But Camar is a very special talent. He's the number 1 rated running back for a reason. You hit the nail on the head when you said we don't have a lot of senior tape to evaluate, but all the other tape that he's had since his freshman year at Lakeview Centennial passes the test, and that's why he's so highly regarded.
Yeah, most certainly. He's a guy who's the complete running back, and he's going to make one program very happy on December 23rd. He's Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete over there in the Greg Powers Memorial Power Zone. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Powers, I think the next time we talk will be, I don't know. We're probably not doing one next week because we don't have a show next Wednesday.
Yep, state.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
I guess.
definitely not next week.
Yeah, okay, Pickle. It's fine. Producer's just, making decisions.
Well, I will say, next Wednesday does kick off state championship coverage here at DCTF, but we also have early signing period coverage beginning next Wednesday. So whether you're a fan of recruiting or high school football, check the site out on Wednesday. There should be tons and tons of content rolling out that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and next week. It's going to be a very busy time for all of the editorial team here, and I'm really excited about all the good stories that we're ready to roll out.
Powers, appreciate your time, bud.